Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Houston Sports Talk back in the video today, and today the NFL has suspended Jordan Addison, wide receiver from the Minnesota Vikings, for the first 3 games of the season. I really like Jordan Addison. I'm someone who thinks he's going to be a really good wide receiver. I even, as a sports card collector, have looked to collect a couple of his cards, and so I really like him. But he what he did was stupid. I think sometimes when we see players or just people, not I don't think it matters if they're a player or not, but people, it happens all the time that you will see someone go too fast while driving, and that's what we saw with Henry Ruggs, right? When he went like way over 115 miles per hour, killed a woman, killed her dog. And I think if you're a great driver, sometimes, even though you're breaking the law, I mean, I'm not gonna say it's okay to go at a high speed, but sometimes it happens. But when you do that, and you're going at a high speed, in a car and you're drunk, you're under the influence. That is what is definitely that. I mean, they're both wrong. Going fast if you're sober, going fast if you're under the influence, but Jordan Addison did get arrested because of driving under the influence, was over the legal limit, and got pulled over. And so the only thing I can say is thank God no one got hurt for a couple reasons. Number one, because you don't want to see anything happen to anybody. But number two, because you don't want to see another young man's career get ruined. And this is a career I think could be really special. Jordan Addison had 900 receiving yards and 9 receiving touchdowns in 15 games last year. So let's keep in mind, he put up 900 receiving yards and 9 receiving touchdowns last season. He missed 2, even though he missed 2 games, and is playing next to a guy like Justin Jefferson. So 909 receiving touchdowns is really good when you're playing next to. I mean, look at his rookie year. He had 911 in 17 games with 10 receiving touchdowns. I'm not saying that's bad, but his receiving yards went only down by 26, and his touchdowns only went, sorry, I said 26, I meant 36. The receiving yards only went down by 36, and touchdowns only went down by 1, and he played 2 less games. So I think that's interesting. I think that, to me, looks like he improved a little bit, because he definitely would have got more than 36 receiving yards. He would have probably been a lot more closer to 1,000 receiving yards last season if he would have been able to play all 17 like he did in his rookie season. And so I'm someone who's really high on Jordan Addison. As long as he's in Minnesota, he's never gonna get that. He's never gonna get to that number 1 title because of how great Justin Jefferson is. He's 23 years old and he's young. But I think if he went to another team, he definitely has the potential of being a number 1 guy in this league. The only way I see him being a number 1 guy in Minnesota is if Justin Jefferson would get an injury. I just don't see Justin Jefferson going anywhere and leaving Minnesota anytime soon. And obviously, it hurts this game. It hurts this league if Justin Jefferson is injured. A couple years ago, Justin Jefferson missed some time. Thank God I had him on my fantasy team last year. He stayed healthy. So you don't want to see. I think I like Jamar. I love Jamar Chase. I love CeeDee Lamb. As a Texans fan, I love Nico Collins. Justin Jefferson is the best in this sport at the wide receiver position, in my opinion. So Jordan Addison, as good as he is never going to get to that number 1 guy in Minnesota, but he could be a number 1 guy somewhere else if he were to ask out of Minnesota. But I think he'd be dumb to ask out of Minnesota, or, potentially leave Minnesota, because I like what they've got building with these 2 youngsters and Justin. I don't know if you still call Justin Jefferson a youngster anymore, but he's not. He's closer. He's closer. He's still in his early 20s. He's not near 30 yet. So Justin Jefferson is still a youngster. Jordan Addison's 23. I think Jefferson's like, 20, 26, 20, 27, something like that. So both these guys are still extremely young, and you've got an extremely young quarterback with J.J. McCarthy. With how good of a coach Kevin O'Connell is, it seems like any quarterback can come into that Minnesota system and be successful. You saw it with Sam Darnold last year after having a really bad career to start off, and he had his best year of his career. Kirk Cousins thrived in that offense.
I think Josh Jobs is a guy who, look at what he did in Minnesota. He looked pretty solid in Minnesota too. When, there were a couple guys last year in Minnesota or not last year, but the year before that in 23, when Kirk Cousins tore his Achilles, there were a couple guys that actually played decently for Minnesota. Like, Josh Dobbs came in and played okay. Nick Mullins was a guy that played solid. They didn't play great or anything like Darnold or Cousins did for Kevin O'Connell, but I think these are guys that are backup quarterbacks or third string quarterbacks playing well in Minnesota's offense. And I'm excited to see what McCarthy can do. And as long as McCarthy has Kevin O'Connell as his head coach and Jordan Addison and Justin Jefferson as his two wide receivers, and you've got Aaron Jones as your running back, you've got T. Hawkinson as your tight end, that's the way to be really successful as a rookie. Now, he's not going to be able to throw the football to Jordan Addison into it's week 4 once he'll return. But I think that it will be a great wide receiver too for a youngster like McCarthy to have. And we'll see what happens in the first 3 weeks of the season without him. They do play Chicago week 1 Monday Night Football. That should be interesting. 2 first-round picks from last year's draft class against each other, but one of them is playing in their first NFL career game. Caleb Williams and J.J. McCarthy going up against each other week 1. So I'm really excited for that matchup. But we won't see Addison until week 4. But yeah, let me know your thoughts on the suspension in the comment section, and peace out.